Outlaw.com. Today I'm going to show you how to install a set of kicker tower speakers and lights along with amp onto an Axis wakeboard boat. So I'm going to be installing it on this tower right here. We're going to be setting up the LED lights right here, along with there's some LED lights in the speakers themselves that are multicolored. So I'm going to set that up, and we're going to connect it to this amp, which is then going to be connected to this built-in stereo Sony system that came with the boat. First thing you want to do is unpack everything, make sure you got everything. We also have just an amp wiring kit, just making sure that we get the right gauge wires, the marine gauge amp wiring kit. Want to make sure you unpack everything, make sure everything's here. As you can notice, this is broken, so I already contacted the seller. Got this on eBay for about 900 bucks for this bar and light kit. So contacting him, he's going to send a new one of these out. But you do want to kind of get and test everything, unpack everything right away in case there is any damage to the equipment, and preferably to actually test the equipment right away as well, rather than keep it in your garage all winter, and then if something goes wrong, it's going to be really hard to get it fixed. So don't order it until you can install it, pretty much. So we'll go step by step through and get everything set up and show you how we want to install all this. Alright, so first thing I've done here is just kind of quickly gotten it up on the tower. I want to make sure it's not going to hit my head as I walk underneath it, which is going to be fine. I want to get the alignment set up. I'm going to add these two side speakers, make sure again it doesn't hit my head. Another important thing you want to make sure is it does not hit your canopy. If you have a bimini here, you want to make sure that nothing hits there. So first thing is just getting everything set up logically. I'm making sure wires are going to come down. I get some wires here that I pulled down. See them right here. There you go. Wires right here. And what I've done is these purple wires are right under here. I've loosened them up, undone the wire tie, and just pulled a little bit extra slack through here, which allows me to pull them down a little bit more in here. Now, I'm worried about the wiring later. Right now, again, I'm just making sure that nothing's going to be interfering. Another thing that I've found already is the clamps they gave me with this set of speakers. It's slightly too small. As you can see here, this just doesn't fit. So I'm going to have to just get another set of clamps, 3-inch. What's nice is this here, they have a universal mount for them. So mount right here. So worst case, I can't find a mount. You just do a strap all around this thing, paint it black, you wouldn't even notice. Or another option is just find some different set of clamps that will fit through this thing right here. So I should be okay with that. And then I'll put some rubber between these two bars just to make sure they don't rub or, wear out. So that's the first step, setting it up visually. After that, we probably just connect the wires really quickly and just test everything out. I don't like to lock everything down until I know 100% everything is working, lights, speakers, everything, because sometimes it's just defective. Let's say we had a cut wire in here and I just can't replace it. I'd have to send the whole thing back, and there's no point in spending hours and hours and hours if it's just not going to work. So make sure you test everything before you do a final mount. Once you know it's working, then you can go through, take extra time and do the mounting perfectly. Alright, so I have now another speaker set up here. Just want to make sure it didn't hit my head as I got up, make sure it didn't interfere with the tower side mounts here, because these swivel. So if I need to get a board on here or something like that, it's fine. Bimini looks good. It's going to go over it, so that's no problem. It's high enough it's not going to hit my head just barely, but for the most part you'll be sitting down here anyway, so it's one of those spots that it's fine. This does swivel, which is cool. Now the second thing we got to figure out is how do we get our wiring up. So we got 4 pairs, and as you can see, the 4 pairs are coming out here. Now the way they wired this in, I got 2 pairs for the lights, 2 pairs of the LEDs, which is the LED colors on the speakers themselves, and then we have the speakers. They're daisy chained, so this is going to do 2 sets, that's going to do 2 sets. So what's that nice is it matches up perfectly. So we have just enough wires, so we don't have to run any additional ones. So next thing we want to do is we want to try to keep the wiring as minimum as possible. You don't want to see wiring. So we're going to have to just clean this up a little bit, take some of this excess off. Have one set go here, one set go here. And we want to connect them and then have the excess go inside here. So we don't want to see, you generally don't want to see this right here, how they did it, having the piece outside. The one positive about having the piece outside, something goes wrong, a little bit easier to fix, but it looks pretty ugly. So if possible, if you have enough room, if you can get this excess up here, that's the way we want to go. All right, so and then on this side, I'm going to put the LED lights, so hiding all the wiring. That looked pretty good. Still have to worry about the mounts, but I will worry about that at a later point in time. All right, so what I've done here is I've quickly wired my two pairs together, left and right. Then as you follow that, plug it into my amp, left and right. So I'm going to now hook up my amp, connect my amp to my stereo system, and that's going to basically allow me to test it. If everything works good, then I can do a final mount. Alright, this place looks pretty trashed, but the good news is, got the amp working, got my lights working, got my LEDs working. First I'm going to show you them working, then I'll show you how I did it. So let's do interior lights. I hooked up the LED speaker lights into interior lights. So we go over here. As you can see, they're glowing. And we get this little remote so I can switch the colors. Red, green, things like that. Turn them off, turn them on. So how I did that was I just wired it into just the internal lights. 12 volts, not too hard coming out. There's a light right down here. Just did a rough job wiring it in, little electrical tape. Splice the wires, plus to plus, minus to minus. That's good. Turn that off. So that's the lights. Now I'm going to show you, I did the LED lights. I put that in an accessory. This was unused. Under here, I grabbed one of these little guys here, plugged it in. That's your plus, positive. And you always want to check this little voltage meter first, just make sure everything's working. You put the negative on your battery, black, positive on the plus in here, make sure it shows 12 volts, which it did. So accessory on. You get the lights right here. So we have a separate toggle switch for that, which is nice in case you just want wake surfing, wakeboarding at night or something. Turn that off. So last thing would be the amp. The amp was a little bit tricky to get working. Oh, actually, before I forget, instead of running for the lights, I ran the negative wire to my amp just because it's grounded, rather than run it all the way back here or somewhere else. To just put it right in on the amp itself. Now back to the amp. Again, plus, minus, left, right. These are going to the speakers. That's pretty straightforward. I have these two RCA cables here coming into amp 1. Even though it says out amp 2, now this could be set up for a sub or more speakers later on if I want. The amp 1, but it's actually going, I'm setting amp 2, and then amp 1 is my input. So I'm just going to show you how this works. And then I got my ground. Just make sure you pull the wires, make sure they're nice and tight, they're not falling out. My plus is going to my battery, and then power RM. That was a little tricky. I had to find the manual online for this Sony, and what Sony says is a blue-white cable. So before I plug anything in, just to test to make sure it's working, I basically went to my battery black, went to the blue-white cable, tested it with the radio off, and nothing came out. Put the radio on, and 12 volts came out. That's how I know that it's working. Because it's pushing out 12 volts when it's on. So now I know that's going to turn my radio on when I want it to. So let's turn the radio on. And there it is. You can feel it right here. In addition to that, you can actually see a blue light on this kicker amp, just letting you know it's on. when I turn it off, that blue light goes off. So that's basically it. It's really ugly right now. Everything's pulled apart because I haven't wire tied anything back. I'm also going to need to run the cable underneath or behind or somehow, so obviously we don't see any of the wires just hanging out here. This is just making sure that the speaker's good, the light's good, everything's working before I go through and do my final setup. I'm happy now that I know everything's working, so I'm going to go ahead and get all my wires together that I need to get, mount this inside here, clean up all my wires with some wire ties, and I should be good. Just to this point, to get me here, it's taking me about 5 hours, so it's not a quick job for sure. This is my first amp install, so that would make it a little bit longer, plus just finding the manuals and things like that, if you don't have them at hand, is going to take a little bit longer time. So to give you a good idea of how long it's going to take, I'll put it all together, give you one last demo, but that's about it. Alright, here we're going to show you the final product. Got the speakers here installed and the lights. As you see how I mounted them, I just got a piece of rubber right here, and behind this is a piece of stainless steel metal clamp that is basically holding this piece on here. So this thing is very solid, does not move. Turn the lights on, hook the lights up into my accessory switch here. Hit that on. And as you can tell, it's a little bright out, but you can see the LED light right here. And that's adjustable. 2 different colors. Turn that off. And then as far as the light, I put that on accessory switch. As you can tell, very, very bright LED lights, which does not use too much power, so that's cool. Then I'll turn it on the stereo speaker. Show you the amp here. Got my amp down here. As you can tell, it glows blue, which is cool. Got all my wires hooked up, going in the right spot. Like you see, all the wiring is much more organized as it was before. Nice and clean now, not all over the place. So it's got nice and loud, clear sound. You can really hear it very well, very good when you're surfing. You can hear it out here, really nice. So overall, really like the setup, really like the look. Saved a lot of money compared to getting it installed directly from the manufacturer, and yeah, pretty happy with it. So if you have any questions, please write at the bottom. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Yeah, have a great day. Thanks.